us the opening talk.
Thanks, Simon. I don't have a formal talk to give. I'm really here in an official capacity to launch the opening of the Stirling Centre. I got to bring my notes to get the exact title right. Stirling Centre for Translation, Interpreting and Intercultural Communication. So I'm here on behalf of the school, actually the head of school, has to be away today. I'd like to say thanks to various people to begin with. So thanks obviously to Saihan and to Kirsty for putting this together. I'd also like to say thank you to Professor Douglas Brodie, who's our former head of school, who showed tremendous support for translation studies in Stirling. While he's here, he's just gone off to a new job in Strathclyde. But that support for translation studies here in Stirling will continue under the new head, Richard Oram, and within our division of literature and languages. I think it is now firmly embedded and will go on from strength to strength over the years to come. And the Centre for Translation, Interpreting and Intercultural Studies will be key to that success. So Translation Studies was launched here in Stirling about 4 or 5 years ago. I remember at first we got the paperwork through and launched it, and didn't have time to advertise, and in our first year we had the sum total of 1 student on the programme. And I'm glad to say that things have gone much better since then, and I think we currently have 17 on the programme this year. So numbers have been very healthy since we launched it, and there is a great desire to study translation studies out there, both nationally and internationally. And we have a very international group of students in Stirling, and I see some of them around the room here today. So we launched translation studies just 4 or 5 years ago, but we already had quite a long and prestigious tradition of practicing translation here in Stirling. Some of you may know of my former colleague Sian Reynolds, who was the professor of French in Stirling for many years, and she's retired now, but is still far more active than any working academics that I know. She was one of the official translators of the great French historian Fernand Braudel, and translated many of his history books with a whole sort of team of translators that she worked with. But in later years, she's carried through her interest in popular fiction and is now the translator of Fred Vargas, who is one of the biggest French crime novelists. An academic, a female academic in France, who writes under the pen name Fred Vargas. And Sian is the official translator into English of her work, and she's actually won the Golden Dagger for her work in translating Fred Vargas. So we do have that long tradition here, and I'm delighted to see that continue through the work of the Master's Programme and the Stirling Centre. It's great to see such an international audience here. I don't think we've ever had such an international audience for anything I've been involved with in our time. And Modern Languages in Stirling obviously is plugged into all sorts of international networks, but we have people from very, very far away who come to join us for these two days of events, and it's great to see you all here and to talk to some of you on and off over the course of the 2 days. We have various existing partnerships, and one of our main partnerships is with Hebei Normal University in China, and we're delighted to have Professor Li. I've been practicing his name, but I'm going to get it wrong. Junchuan Li, who's here for 6 months on a affair of research, part of which is involved a cultural flow from Scotland to China, translating the work of Robbie Burns into Chinese, and I think he performed some of that for you last night. He's also trying to work in the other direction, trying to get my help to translate the poetry of Dalai Lama VI into English, which is quite a test of my knowledge of certain types of discourse in English, but I'm doing my best to help him with that. So it's great to have that link with Hebei, and it's a partnership we're delighted to have, and we hope that from all of the other people in the room, we will start to develop other international partnerships, and that we can work with various people in different parts of the UK and around the world. So that's the end. I said I'd be brief. I don't know if I've gone on too long already, but it's great to see so many people here. I'm delighted that we've managed to work it out with the weather, so we have one of those days when this is one of those days when the campus photographer is out furiously taking photographs of the website to make you think it looks like this all the time. Whereas those of you who arrived last night know full well it's not like this all the time. So I hope the weather stays like this for the 2 days that you'll be with us, and that you get to enjoy some of the campus and the surroundings while you're here. I feel like I should have a bottle of champagne to smash against something to officially declare the good shit of the Centre for Translation, Interpreting and Intercultural Studies open, and I hope you enjoy the events of the next 2 days. Thank you.
Well, so I think more or less we're going to start, otherwise we'll be a little bit behind. So our first speaker.
So if all the Russian delegates going to talk to Beata can move next door.
How was this?
He's the chair of ITI, Institute of Translation and Interpreting. So I leave it to you to introduce yourself a little bit so I don't speak too much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation to come to talk to you today. Simon says I'm the chairman of ITI. My name is Ewan Davis and I'm a professional translator based in Perth. So despite the fact that I'm chairman of an organisation that has its base in the idyllic little village in South England called Milton Keynes, I actually live in the large industrial complex of the Highlands of Scotland. And it's nice to be able to travel to a meeting that's only half an hour away from my doorstep rather than have to get on the sleeper the night before and travel down to London. So it's lovely to be able to enjoy the scenery, and even though it's rather familiar to me. I live in Perth. I have a small translation company with my wife, and we translate from French and German into English in the area of finance and IT. So it's very commercial, very deadline driven, very bottom line driven as well. And it's fairly typical of the translation scene in the United Kingdom. At least the commercial translation scene. It's a very fragmented market. Suppliers are small, typically, in the United Kingdom. Very many freelancers, very many small, well, not quite so many small translation companies, and one or two really large translation companies that seem to gobble up all the contracts and then farm them out. ITI's place in this, well, ITI is the professional association for translation and interpreting in the UK. And what we try to do is give all of these different groups a home. Freelance translators, translation companies, people who teach translation, university departments, all these different interests come together under ITI. And as you can imagine, sometimes that leads to cross-fertilisation, colonisation, but also sometimes it leads to a little bit of argument. But by and large, we get on. ITI has got 3,000 members in the UK, primarily freelance translators, as I say, but 1,500 of those are qualified members, which means that ITI has assessed their ability to translate in a professional context. So when we talk about the ITI exam, we talk about an exam which is post-experience to start with, but also it's an exam that isn't done in a very quiet hall, examination hall. It's an exam that's done in the comfort of your own home, using your own resources. You can use whatever dictionaries you would normally do to do your own work. You can use whatever computer tools you would use to do your own work, and you're basically completing a translation assignment, doing a job, a translation job, and that allows us to verify not only the translation capabilities of our members, but also their professional capabilities. Are they actually able to deal with a client? They have to treat ITI as a client in that respect? Are they able to communicate around deadlines? Are they able to deal with all the requirements of a translation job? And naturally, because that exam is done in the comfort of their own home, there are questions around ethics and trust as well, because we have to trust that they are going to do it themselves and not going to pay somebody else to do it. So they're not going to pay one of our existing members to do it. So the code of conduct and the code of ethics that ITI has is naturally, that's where that comes into play straight away as soon as you join the organisation. You know, you agree to act honourably towards your fellow members and towards your clients, and in this respect, as ITI is a client, then you're acting honourably towards ITI. It's a difficult, especially when you come from an academic background where you know exams are done in halls in complete silence and confidentiality, then it's something you can verify, or not confidentiality, sorry, the integrity of the candidate, something you can verify by actually looking at them and making sure they're not talking to each other. That's something that we don't have. Although it's called an exam,